Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Russ Johns with Future Media TV, and I'm here with my lovely hostess with the mostest, Marion LaSalle, and our very special guest, Rachel Parker. We're here talking about marketing ideas that work. How are you today, Marion?
Oh, I'm fantastic. It's a glorious day.
It is a glorious day. And Rachel, how are you this happy St. Patrick's Day?
I gotta get some green on.
I got my green mug. Wearing the green.
Does bluish green count?
And how are you
I don't know.
today, Rachel?
I'm very well today. Very happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and talk about marketing, my favorite subject.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it's fantastic. And, one of the things that we are really excited about, and we know each other from back, we have some history and going back and forth in marketing and,
Sure.
meeting at different events and networking. And one of the things that I find fascinating is marketing is always changing. And one of the things we wanted to do with this program is invite people like yourself that have been involved in marketing. You've created content, you have a podcast, you have all of these things going on. And we want to find out what has been working for you or your clients, or what are you sharing with others that you find that is exciting or intriguing or inviting other people to come and see you and share your content. What's working for you? That's the focus of our show. And so we want to have you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what's working for you.
Okay, great. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the CEO and Chief Geek of Resonance Content Marketing. We are a content creation agency, and content marketing has gotten so big that I now have to specify that we are on the content creation side. So we're out there writing the blog posts, writing the social media posts, things like that. And the way I got into this was pretty unorthodox. My background is actually in political science, believe it or not. And
I never knew that about you.
yes, I'm a poli-sci geek. And years ago, I decided that I was going to decide what would make me happy, what I would want to get up and do every morning, and it all came down to writing. So became a copywriter on the corporate side, on the agency side, and a little over 5 years ago, jumped off the diving board and started my own shop. So today it's my pleasure to help, as I put it, help my audience grow their tribes by writing insanely good content.
That is
I love that.
fantastic.
Insanely good.
Insanely good.
So, Rachel, do you by chance write for, say, somebody's website? Do you write content, not just the blog, but the actual content for the website?
Yes, we have two types of clients. We have project clients who bring us on to write their websites, and we also help them with print materials and other video scripts, kind of one-off projects. And then we have our content marketing clients who bring us on to write their blog and their social media posts and things like that. And it keeps us with a firm foot in both worlds.
Oh, good.
So I want to find out, is there any specific area that you see in the last 6 months, 10 months, that has really kind of launched an awareness of how content marketing works? Because in the marketing world, and Mary and I talk about this all the time, there's this bubble we live in where we're seeing everything. However, in the general population and in business, people are not in tune with what is happening in the market. So sometimes these concepts of content marketing, it takes a little while to learn, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not, hey, I'm going to make this magic post, and thousands of people are going to visit my website, and all of a sudden people are going to come and knock on my door and buy stuff. So walk us through a little bit about what content marketing, the philosophy and strategy is with your clients, and how that applies to what we need to know about marketing ideas that work.
Sure. Good question. Well, I actually started my company as a social media outsourced brand. And then in 2012, I rebranded as Resonance Content Marketing, and nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. they're like content management, like SharePoint. Are you in IT? So it has come a long way. But these days I see the full gamut. I see people who are just starting to get the concept, and then people who are much more advanced. So content marketing is the practice of growing one's audience by providing solutions to providing content that gives solutions. So it's the blog post with 10 tips for amping up your social media marketing. It's the quick email tip that gives you a hint on something in WordPress.
I'm so sorry, but
it's
your
this
internet
blab
went
like we're
down
doing
for a
right
minute.
now.
If you could repeat just that last portion. So what I heard you say in my thinking was one problem, one solution marketing content that you're writing. So if you could go from there, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for letting me know. So what content does is it's distinct from what we call marketing copy. Marketing copy is what you find in the brochures on most websites, and it's inherently promotional. Content is inherently informational, educational, inspirational, or entertaining. Those are the four things that content does. So it's not pummeling people with that marketing message. It's showing up, getting in front of people, not with your marketing message, but saying, hey, you have a problem, I have a solution. You don't know what the heck's going on with marketing these days. We've got a blab that will help you keep up with what's going on and understand and be able to use it. So that's the heart of content marketing. It's getting in front of your audience and building a foundation of trust, so that they keep seeing these solutions from you, and you being very generous and very forthcoming with helping them solve their problems. And then when they do have a need for your products and services, they know exactly
one problem, one solution, and let's get to know each other before you try selling me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's
content marketing dating.
It's like relationship, and it's long term.
You don't start naming your
content marketing from everything that I see in the market is developed over a long period of time. It's not one and done. It's not flash bam in the pan. It's
although most people want it to be.
Right.
Absolutely, they want it to be.
They want to pay you $100, and you have thousands of Twitter followers and 10 sales and people in the funnel, and they just want it all.
Right.
One time.
Well, Marion, how many times have we heard, hey, can you fix my SEO this month?
Oh, yeah. Like right now.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's not exactly.
I want to be on the first page of Google, and it happens to happen next week.
That, right? There's an app for that, right?
Yeah.
Not so much. It would be nice. However, what are some of the tools you've been using? I know you've been podcasting. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit, and what kind of impact that's had either directly or indirectly in your content marketing strategy, and what you've shared with others. Maybe you could start there with one of those tools and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Podcasting is, I launched my first episode of my podcast in 2013. So I've been at it for about 3 years. Episode 166 just launched this morning. And for me, that is, it's part of the best part of my week, because it goes back, for me personally, what I get out of it, it goes back to the old adage, the best way to learn something is to teach it. And when I get behind that microphone and I talk about helping my audience with, for example, this month we're focusing on demand generation. As I help them understand, I'm helping myself understand, which makes me a better consultant, makes me better at what I do. And podcasting has become huge over the last couple of years. It's been just a huge blossoming. And for me, it's a very, for one thing, it lets me share longer form content. If in a blog post, you get to so many words and people start tuning out. In video, definitely, you get to about 2 minutes, and then with like YouTube videos, then you start losing people. But with podcasting, people can listen to it at the gym. I have so many people who contact me on Twitter saying, "Thank you for saving my morning commute. You have
Okay,
completely
I have to
changed,"
stop you right there.
you know, because that's
Show of
part of
hands.
their.
How many
part of their
people have
commute.
not
It helps
listened
them
to a
save a lot of
radio,
time.
an actual radio in
What's that?
about 12 months?
Yeah, no radio for me. It's all
It's all
podcasting.
podcasting.
And Rachel's is number one. I never miss an episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The champ.
Thank you, Marion. Yeah, so it's been a tremendous joy, and it's
Well, I
been
have to tell you,
actually we
one of the
just crossed
reasons
over
why I would
100,000
recommend your
downloads. So
podcast, and maybe
people
you
liking
could tell Russ, and he can type it in, how the best way for them to get to your podcast, because I think it's very important, not only for people who are in our industry, marketing, web, tech, anything like that, but also for people who are trying to come up with ideas to teach the people who are writing their blog or doing it themselves. I think what you're doing is you keep up with the latest in technology and how we can use that to our benefit.
Yeah.
So I listen to you on iTunes, but I know you have other places where they can reach you.
I listen to her.
yes, I do. And there, like you said, there are several ways. And it is called the Content Marketing Podcast. So we are on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher, which is another app for podcast listening. And more recently, we're on SoundCloud. Now, there aren't a whole lot of back episodes on SoundCloud, but we are updating it on a weekly basis. So if you go to Google and type in Content Marketing Podcast Rachel Parker,
That's
you will probably
fantastic.
find all those various.
I'm a
outposts
huge
that we
fan
have.
of podcasting, and I've taught many people how to podcast and produced several podcasts and taught workshops. And so I'm a huge fan. And that's kind of, in the last several years, it's increased, and advertisers are starting to really take notice in what's taking place in the advertising business, because there's so much content, there's so much information being created on a regular basis every single day, that now it's about the relationship. And podcasting has really allowed a lot of content marketers to build a relationship with their community. And that's a very intimate community that's very passionate. As you can see, Marion, listens. I listen to your podcast every week. So it's always going to be, a lot of the same people in the demographic there. So if an advertiser says, okay, I want to reach your demographic, and you have 100,000 downloads and people are listening to your podcast every single week, that's a very targeted market that is easy to measure as well.
You know what else I noticed that Rachel does is she has a call to action, which most of us really fall down on. Okay.
What's the
she'll
call to
invite
action,
you
man?
to her webinar. She has a webinar once a month and things like that. So I'm hearing her call to action, and it's very subtle, but it's work. It definitely works for you, doesn't it, Rachel?
Yeah, it's got to be, and as content marketers, we have to remember, yes, we are sharing good information, but we can't forget the marketing side. And it's subtle. You don't want to beat people over the head with, hire my agency to do your content marketing. But what you can do is encourage them to take another step of engagement. So when I get on my podcast, I will encourage them to download our latest ebook or a free audio that we have. And when that does is it establishes another touch point, another point for them to engage with my content. But also when they sign up for that, they also get on my email list. And as marketers, our email lists are absolute gold, and we need to start we need to treat them with respect and grow our list as much as we can.
What calls to action have you found really powerful in the last 6 months, either on your podcast or your webinar? And maybe we'll go into your webinar a little bit deeper.
Yeah, lately I've been focusing on our latest ebook. We published an ebook a couple of months ago called Ninja Secrets of B2B Blogging, and I've been promoting that on the podcast every week. We've gotten a lot of downloads, and it's really, Russ, it's about it's about putting myself in the shoes of my audience and saying, okay, I'm listening to my podcast. What's my next? What's my next step? What do I want to know more about? What is going to take me to the next level as a content marketer? And putting out those call to actions. I also, a little trick I learned along the way is to buy good URLs to serve as a focal point. So if people want the latest ebook, they can go to b2bbloggingebook.com and find it there. Because of course, when you're podcasting, there's no there's no clickable link. It's all audio. So you need to have a URL that people can remember and jot down, or
Something
either
very,
jot
very
down
simple.
as they go and go there later, or that they can keep
so
in their
one
heads.
of the things that Russ and I have been really honing in on, especially with our clients who don't get it, because we have to keep teaching them over and over again, what is it that you're going to do that's really going to make a difference, right? And of course, content creation is the backbone of this whole thing. So whether it's podcasting or it's blogging or it's on your website or whatever it is, you have to have good content. And it can start with somebody like you who is an expert at words. I love it when you talk about that on your podcast, about how you just love words, right? And how they make us feel and what it makes us do. I mean, there's a psychology behind it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where it starts. And then you can take that content and use it so many different ways. You can repurpose it any way you want. I quit counting how many times you can repurpose really good content.
Yeah. Well, and this is an exercise. What we're doing right now is an exercise in this. This is the extension of podcasting. And we have the opportunity to have this video, place it on our website, share it on YouTube, download the audio, create a podcast from it, create content. All of the comments are going to be on our website, so we can actually place that. So it's additional SEO, and then we cannot broadcast in advance, tweet it out, Facebook. Everything that we have is designed around the opportunity to share it again. And so we feel that there's some changes in, as we're pitching all the time in Future Media, we are the media. There's no them or us. We are them at this point in time. We have the power and the authority to generate whatever media we want. And so has that played any influence in what you're doing in the content creation process for your clients? Have you started experimenting with some other ideas?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talk about that content creation and the power in that. I was at a conference just last month, and the speaker was talking about Netflix. And Netflix kind of loped along a little while as a content distributor, but man, when they started creating their own content,
right,
through the roof. When they started with House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, that's when they really became a household name. And as marketers, when we can get to that point of becoming that content creator, and as you both know, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time, week after week, podcast after podcast, video after video. People start to trust us, and we become what we like to call thought leaders in our areas, and we become that Netflix. We become that household name when it comes to.
We're the next Netflix.
Write that down.
That was good. I can write that down.
Or you can replay the show over and over again.
There you go. There you go.
I love that. I love that you look at the different things that are happening in the marketing world and see how we can use it as your customers, as people who are using your service, a content creator, how we can really use that content, because that's what it all boils down to. We've just got to realize that. We can't do a one and done. We can't just throw up a quick video on our website and they will come, because they're not doing it right anymore, right? It's just not happening.
Well,
if you build it, they will come. Only work for Kevin Costner.
And occasionally that didn't even work for him. Well,
exactly.
It's the adage, and I love this. I heard this the other day, and I will use it over and over again, is just because you give somebody a recipe doesn't make them a chef.
Amen.
Yes.
I believe you read that in my e-newsletter, Russ, from last
no.
Friday.
So there you go. If you can actually use it and reshare it and take those ideas and those thoughts from a thought leader and make sure that people continue to hear your message over and over again. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was saying he does a lot of business on Amazon, and he says the biggest mistake people make right now is they don't test long enough. They expect immediate results, and because something doesn't happen, they change directions, they turn it off, or they move into another idea or thought, and they don't collect enough data to actually make some real life measurements on the data. So, you know.
Okay, so I have to. That sounds like me. Okay, so let me explain why that's happening to people like me. Is I'm not an expert in so the psychology of the words, and so yes, I write something, nothing happens, I move on to the next thing. I mean, I think we do need somebody. Either hire somebody or do a mastermind with people who have experience, or there's got to be other people involved with someone like me, because otherwise I will move on to the next thing quickly.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then the question becomes, how long do you wait?
That is a good question, and there's no real pat answer to that. When we start blogging, when we start getting out there on social media, it takes a while to build up that audience, and there's also, to complicate things even further, there's kind of that silent engagement that happens. For example, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I have about 2,000 connections, and on a really good day, I'll get 2 likes on a post that I share. But every single time I go to a networking event, somebody pulls me aside and says, "I see you on LinkedIn all the time. I love what you're sharing." So we need to, start looking at those results from the very beginning and just kind of see how they track over time. And then, my personal rule for myself is everything that I try, I give it a year. That gives me a good, solid base. And, if it's not working after a year, then it's time
I've been failing way too soon, haven't I?
You've been giving up the ghost way too soon.
Way too soon.
It's like, a week? You're going to wait a week?
The first day they didn't say anything? Forget it. It's a hot.
People are banging on our door.
That's right.
That's great feedback. That's really great feedback. I love the idea of this. The thing that I really thrive on or hold on to is, Mary and I are really creative and we like creating things. So our process is probably not unlike yours. However, when you're creating things, I'm not the finisher, it's nice to be able to create something new all the time. And a year is great feedback because, it feels so lonely in the middle, right? After you create it, you have to just let it out there. And you're absolutely correct, Rachel. I always run into people that recognize me from being online. However, I don't know, I don't receive, updates or any feedback from, and then once in a while, somebody will pop up and that I have no clue that even is following me. And all of a sudden they'll say something. It's amazing how that works out. So what are some other ideas that have been working that we need to pay attention to?
Other ideas are, I mentioned the call to action in my podcast to download resources, and then in downloading that resource, people give their email address, which gets them on my list. I think that's so important these days because people in general, if you tell them, "Hey, sign up for my e-newsletter," they're on the verge and they're like, "Man, I get so many emails, I'm going to pass on that." So we're getting to a point where we really need to dangle out that carrot and say, "Would you like this resource? Just give us your name and an email address and it's yours." And that helps grow our list that way. We need to be a little more strategic because the content world is just so huge, and they're, everybody's got e-newsletters, everybody's got these different components. So we need to be able to offer people an incentive to get them to take that next step. So it's getting as complex as it was. It's
Wow.
getting
What do
even
you
more
see
so.
on?
Go ahead.
What's over the hill, Marion? What's the next thing? What do you see, Rachel?
I have a question.
The next thing, well, I mean, what we're doing right now, live video is becoming absolutely huge. It's pretty funny. It's hard to imagine that it was last year at South by Southwest that Meerkat launched, and then Twitter came on with Periscope, and now we have Blab, and now Facebook is coming on board with Facebook Live. So, that
Live
whole
streaming.
live streaming is becoming absolutely huge. And I've got to confess, I haven't gone there yet. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to incorporate live video into what I do.
You.
But it's kind of funny. Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
My consultant's right here. But it's kind of funny because in this world where we're so where on demand has become the expectation, when I want content, I can get it. It's funny that we're kind of shifting to say, oh, I want that live experience. I want that, catch it before it's gone,
right,
and participate in live time, or in real time experience. So, I think live video is still in the early stages, and it's definitely going to become more and more important as we go along. And as far as that goes, I mean, my big soapbox for this year is what I call the Q factor, and the Q is quality, because as everybody's getting on the blogging bandwagon, so many people are podcasting today that
right.
I never thought I would see podcasting. And how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we stand out? And Jay Baer has a quote that I absolutely love. He said, "We need to produce content that is so good people would pay for it."
That leads me to my next question. Okay. I'm so glad you said that, because Russ and I wrote a book called Real World Growth Hacking Strategies. And it's fantastic. We put a lot of effort into it. We did a lot of research. It's, edited really well. And we offered it as our giveaway, our enticement to sign up for our list, right? And then we had, for Future Media Association, we have a monthly meeting, and one of our trainers, a couple days ago, we have one every month. And this trainer was how to get your book up on Amazon. And even though we've done it several times, we've got books up on Amazon, he wanted to use our book, which was just a PDF or a Word document, and put it up live in front of everybody so he could show how easy it was. So we volunteered, Shirley, you would do it. Now, is that something that you would recommend, to take this book that we can give away, and the cost is giving us your email, or you can pay for it on Amazon?
Yeah, good question. And you're bringing up something that is on my list. I've got several ebooks that I want to get up on Amazon. And you can also offer something for free on Amazon. You don't necessarily have to charge. But I would be very careful with having something free in one place and at cost at another, because if that person sees that, it's like, wait a minute, I paid $12.95 for that. Why is it being offered for free? So and I will say that Amazon, and I'm sure your speaker talked about this, Amazon is a very powerful search engine.
Right.
Yes, people go to Google and YouTube and all those places, but they also go to Amazon to search for topics. So so definitely worthwhile getting it up there. What some people do is for their freebie, they offer an edit, kind of a Cliff's Notes version of the book. And then if people want the full version, then they can go to Amazon and pay their $9.95 or whatever.
You're not corrupting
and that way you're not,
so to speak.
you're not exactly. Yeah. You're not ticking people off who did pay for the book and then
before we go off the air, I want
to
ask you one more time the name of your giveaway so that we can send them over to get your book, because I know how good it is.
Oh, great. Yes, it is called Ninja Secrets of B2B Blogging, and the URL is B2B, that's number 2, B2BBloggingEbook.com.
Are you typing this up for us? Oh, good.
B2Bblogging.com.
Type faster than I can. I'm like,
Ebook.
B2B blogging ebook.com.
oh,
B2B.
Rachel, the time just flew by. I know, right?
I can't
We're
believe
gonna
it's
have
been
to
a half
have you
hour
back
already.
on
This is
because I've got
crazy.
so many more questions. Every time I listen to your
Happy to.
podcast, I think, oh, I got to ask her about this, and oh, I got to tell her I love that, and
Well,
So-
thanks, Nelson. Make it an hour. We could go on for hours. We could go on for days talking about marketing because we're all so passionate about it. And the fact that it's changing, it's evolving, it's growing, and it's available to anyone. And a lot of times people just need a hand to hold and a roadmap and somebody to give them permission to say yes. So we're here, Future Media Association, Future Media TV, Marion LaSalle, myself, Russ Johns. Rachel, thank you so much for being here today. And you don't have to hang up. You can hang out for a little while. We're just going to end the recording, and join us every week, Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 8:30 Central Time. Until then, love to see you online. Track us down on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and all of the social streams. Take care, everyone.